From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrus with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 29th, and we are now less than 2 months away from the end of winter, and many of you are like, sitting here thinking right now, well, when's winter going to start? We haven't had winter really start this year, and it's been a very difficult go at it for those who love snow and cold, but we do have an encouraging outlook here for the month of February. It is the only month that we've had anything encouraging to look at when we look at this in the shorter term, and everything that seemed to like creep up on us and look like it was going to produce something for a big snowstorm would either cut inland and turn to rain, or it would miss entirely. So we're hopeful that at least for the snow lovers' sake, we have some better news for you here in the coming weeks. We're going to start off with the look. This is from the outlook that we do publicly every Friday on the long range outlook, and these are the 1 to 5 day. We actually do these in 5-day intervals all the way up to day 20, so we're looking at up to 3 weeks ahead in what we are expecting during that period. Now, this is a 5-day composite average for the 28th through the 1st. We're all generally slightly below normal in our area here as far as average highs and temperatures over a 24-hour period. So we are expecting colder temperatures, slightly above normal out in the western United States. And this is going to be a kind of a recurring theme over the next couple of weeks here. We're going to get into an even colder period, but again, we live up here in the northeastern United States, so the vast majority of the country is shown not to be incredibly cold here, but and even so here, that's the same thing is true here about here in the northeastern United States. We're not brutally cold. I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea here. We're talking about going into February, so climatologically speaking, your average highs start to increase as we get further along in the month of February. So there's about a 5-degree difference between what you can expect on January 29th and what you can expect on February 28th. So, it's about a 5-degree difference in high temperatures. So we start seeing that gradual increase in climatological norms. So if you're below normal, that's going to be relative to average. This is February 2nd to the 6th. But doesn't, just as it says below normal, doesn't mean it's going to be brutal. That's the message I'm trying to convey here. Going a little bit further here into, this is the 7th to the 11th. Again, our area stays below normal. We start getting moderation starting to push into the western United States where they are above normal, especially in the desert southwest here, and near normal or better for probably 2/3 of the country. But we are stuck in this corner up here where we're going to be in the below normal temperatures. And we get another surge coming in here. It's 12th to the 16th. You can see another surge coming in. While the west stays warm, we get this surge coming in of colder air and reinforcing colder air. And we're going to continue that, we think, through about the end of the 3rd week of February is what the Eastern PA Weather Authority projects. And there's reasons for that. We're going to show you what we're looking at. This is going to lead to a cold and stormy pattern, we think, through about the end of the 3rd week of February. This is a look right now what we have. Okay, and this is looking up at 500 millibars, which is 18,000 feet up into the atmosphere. This is pretty much what drives what goes on at the surface. You can see in this image here, we have the polar vortex kind of situated right here. Here's your PV, okay? There's really, no cold air source for this to tap into. So we're getting, basically, the polar vortex is still strong enough that it's going to maintain blocking up over the Arctic Circle here and into Greenland, and it prevents the jet stream from diving down into the United States. Well, what we're getting is that you just see a gradual southward dip in the jet here. Here's the northern jet. This is a very fast and progressive flow here. So a lot of what you're going to see this week, leading up into, basically this entire work week, of a couple chances of these quick clippers moving through along that fast northern stream. But this is all you're going to get. We are going to be on the colder side of that, so I do think we're going to get snow out of it. All right. Just very minor because they're so fast moving. This jet is very fast. Now the cold air source, ideally if you want brutal cold, you'd want your source region to be in here like this, okay, where you have big amplification in the jet. We're not seeing that right now, and your source region up here, of course, is much colder up near the Arctic than it is, say, in Western Canada. So right now it's coming in fast Pacific jet. but it's still far enough south that we're getting in the colder side of things here on the the southern periphery. So that's what we're really we're looking at right now. So this is going to change, though. We're going to get into a little bit more amplification. How do we get that to happen? Well, that's going to be tropical forcing, we think, as we get into take a look at the next couple of weeks here. And right now, the best forcing is over here in phase 3. You can see that indicated by this black dot. This is the GFS, or GEFS, which are the GFS ensembles, and here's the European model. So pretty much the same idea here. You see that propagation here into the maritime continent, which is not exactly the most favorable side of the world where you want to see tropical convection in order for us to get into a sustained cold and stormy pattern. So I do think, even though we are getting into you're on this side, same thing here on the Euro, it's over here, and these phases here doesn't necessarily mean warm all the time. Like, we're getting other things that are going to keep us a little colder because of where the tropospheric polar vortex is located. So to keep us cold enough in the northeastern United States, where we're going to get into those fast-moving clipper systems, so be on the colder side of things for now. All right, but this is not a stormy pattern over here. Okay, so you see it going through on this side of the cycle, and this goes from January 28th, where it starts, up to February 11th. So by the time you get to this dot, these are all dots. These dots are different days. Okay, so this right here, this last dot, and this last dot right here would be February 11th. That's as far as it goes. All right, so if you're going back one dot, that's February 10th, that's February 9th, just so you know what I'm looking at here. And that's what the same thing that the European models is projecting. But the important takeaway here is it's going to propagate away from the maritime continent and toward phase 8 eventually. You can see that. Phase 8 is a very favorable stormy signal and cold signal for the eastern United States. It also allows for a ridge out west. And I'll show you this in the next image here. This is the result of what that tropical forcing would do. And you can see tropical forcing being in favorable positions puts a ridge out in the western United States, and you get some amplification and a trough in the east. So when you get that, with the PV sitting now right here, you start getting blocking over Greenland, and you start getting a cross-polar flow like this. This is not what we have in the first week. First week, we're getting a different source region of the cold, and it's really marginal or seasonal cold, not really brutal. Not saying this is going to be brutal either, but you have a better chance of it being colder. More amplification allows for the possibility of bigger storms, and this would be during the second week and third week of February. So we're starting to see some opportunities in the long range where this will allow this to happen. So and the models are picking up now as a result of this forcing going to favorable areas. If you're in phase 8, you're going to get this. This is what's going to happen. And the PV is still pretty strong here, but the trend has been, at least today, the trend has been to keep the ridge increased out here in the west as a result of that tropical forcing, and it gives you a trough. And then in the eastern United States will be favorable for our area for a cold and snowy ride at it. So you have a little opportunity, just a small window, relatively speaking, to the entire season. We're talking about generally the second and third week of February to be that really active period and have a chance at producing. Now, again, the first week's not going to start out very well. There's a couple potential weak systems coming in during the work week, mostly up through Wednesday or so. The first one is going to be Sunday night and early Monday, just for a very weak area, a very small area of snow, just in that little area that I circled right there, it looks like. Although you could have a few snow showers elsewhere. There could be an enhanced band here of accumulating snow. We have sent out advanced alerts for those areas affected for some accumulating snowfall in this region. However, I don't see it being a big deal, but these things can sometimes, the little inverted trough that's shown here by the models can surprise some people, and it can really be one of those last minute deals where you have to make changes on the fly, where you're expecting 1 to 2 inches, then all of a sudden that band sits right over top of you and just dumps and gives you 3, 4, 5 inches. Not expecting that as a whole, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that to happen. So just keep an eye on that if you lived in those areas. Elsewhere, I don't see it being a big deal other than a few flurries and snow showers into Monday morning. The second one, we talked about this. If you follow along our daily videos, so I talked about this in the weekend forecast video about this second one here. This is the one that coming in on Tuesday. Tuesday is the most robust wave of all. Okay, and I can see in those areas where I just circled getting coating to an inch or two of snow here on Tuesday. This is the most robust of these fast progressive, fast moving waves that just keep diving down on the northern stream here, riding the northern stream. This is the most aggressive one. That's on Tuesday. There's actually a third that comes through here on Wednesday, also heads to the north, but I think this is going to result in just some flurries and maybe a few isolated snow showers across the far northern tier, and that's it. And that should be it for our little week short waves. There's another one toward the end of the week, maybe Friday, that kind of skirts off to the south again. Just a week, a little wave here, not a big deal. Once we get into the bigger potential, this is going to be Super Bowl Sunday into Monday, and timing is still uncertain on this, and the evolution is still uncertain of this, and some models have backed off this entirely, but we are having indications of a storm kind of heading up in this direction here, right to here, but you got a strong high here, so it can't go through the high, so it's forced to redevelop into a secondary low offshore, and that gives you a moderate snowfall across a large area. This is a very possible, very plausible solution, but shown here by the GFS, but is still over a week out. So for us to sit here and give specifics right now is an effort of futility, so we're not going to do that. We're just giving you an idea that this is one of those signals we put in our long range we have to watch for. There's actually, this is February 5th, 6th time frame. We actually have another signal kind of around the 11th or 10th or 11th of the month also. There's more signals that are going to appear, I think, here during the second and third week of February. Once we get beyond that, though, I think your right as of right now, it looks like your end date, or right around what is going to be the end date of this cold and stormy pattern, will be right around the 21st, give or take a day or two. But I think right around there is when we start to moderate a little bit. Might even have an early spring. So that's why I said, if you want winter needs to happen. It needs to happen before the 21st, it looks like. Otherwise, we might be looking at, if nothing happens or produces in that time frame, which this is no guarantee, and neither is the one on the 10th or 11th. If nothing happens in that time frame, it's just going to be just about done for winter, and about to chalk it up to a loss, a big loss at that for this winter, and just hope for the best for next year if you're a snow lover. But right now we do have our chances in the second and third week, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. One of the being the tropical forcing. I think the ensembles are going to start adjusting that a little bit as we get a little bit closer. But of course, anything can happen. Just keep in tune with us, and we will keep you up to date on these short range changes as they come in. And of course, we'll be discussing in the EPAWA Premium Forum in advance. This storm will start getting into probably around Tuesday or Wednesday of the upcoming week here, because it's still just a possibility, still something that's too far out to really take seriously until we get a little bit closer. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich. That is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 29th, 2017. And join us again next week. We'll hopefully get a better handle on this system here. That'll be our big system coming in next week that's possible. And maybe a look at other storms that are down in the pipeline. Take care.